Live from New York. It's a show that just recently realized that butterflies smell with their feet. It's a Jeopardy question. First things first.
Jeopardy before the show.
Today, Russell's revenge.
All get out.
I was disappointed, much like the Lakers' performance. Did the Clippers send the Lakers into the play-in? Meanwhile, the latest on Lamar. Is the idea of the Ravens drafting a quarterback real or just a threat? And finally, well, it's Thursday, which means it's time for the most motivational segment in all of sports.
Yes.
It's the Bud List.
We need that.
Alongside Nick Wright, I'm Kevin Wilds. Brew, are there any surprises on today's Bud
The
List?
Lakers could use some motivation. That's all I'm saying.
Can I give a suggestion for a late ad? I know it's late. Kevin Wilde's Jeopardy abilities under great duress. Mortifying performance.
It was bad.
Mortifying.
Not only was it boring,
Thought Palo Alto was in the south of France.
Not only was it boring, it was bad. We start with a tired Lakers loss. LeBron had one of the worst first halves of his career, 3 points, and then, of course, started bombing threes and ends the game with 33. Here he is after the game.
It was tough. It's one of the toughest games we've had this year. Just coming off the road trip, and even though this was a road game, coming off the road trip and getting back, late last night, but after an overtime game, and it was a tough game for us. Obviously, we started off in the first half, not so playing Laker basketball. We had some good spurts, but not enough. So this is one of those scheduling conflicts, in the season. And definitely got the best of us tonight.
Okay. Concerned?
Not only am I not concerned, at halftime, you're tweeting out the clip from the show saying this is why the Lakers shouldn't have played their guys. It was a schedule loss, if such a thing exists, which is forget the back-to-back part of it. The fact that this was the longest break the Clippers had all season other than the All-Star break leading into this game. The Lakers, meanwhile, had to travel on a back-to-back. It looked like they were going to have no fight. You correctly, at the time, I thought, were concerned could LeBron's double-digit point streak be in jeopardy.
Like it. Turns out I was very wrong.
And
you thought he wasn't going to get
three, and
he had three and looked dead in the water. And now I sit here today more confident in the Lakers than at any point all season. Because after what I do believe was the worst half of LeBron's entire NBA career, he followed it up with one of the best halves of his career. And we can show it to you. Wild said bombing threes. He had 30 points on 14 shots in the second half of this game. Kawhi, one of the league's best perimeter defenders, played the entire second half. All 24 minutes. First time he's done that in a game since Game 7 of the 2013 Finals, which, of course, ended with LeBron hitting a jumper over him, similar to a few of these possessions. And what you saw, and the reason it raised my confidence, Brew, was LeBron got to a level after a back-to-back, fresh off an injury, that only 3 other guys in the league can get to. Giannis, Steph, and Durant. He treated this game like a playoff game. Yep. And now listen, they were terrible and dead-legged and bad early, and Russ brought energy the Lakers didn't have. We'll talk about Russ in a moment. But if there was a looming question of, can playoff mode LeBron still just put a team on his back? The fact that he got 30 in the second half, a game they were down 24 early in the second half, they at one point cut it to 7, to me, and I didn't want them to get the 5 seed anyway, and if they had won out, they would have gotten the 5 seed. For all those reasons, I think Laker fans should be more optimistic this afternoon than at any point all year.
What a take.
I disagree. All right, I wanted to hear the verbal gymnastics you were going to go through to get
I
a
expected the
positive
Lakers to lose
because
yesterday.
playoff LeBron would have won that game. Playoff LeBron would have won that game. Now, I'm going to give LeBron credit. I agree with you. The first half was the worst I've ever seen him play. Some might try to go back to Dallas in 2011 in the finals. In those games, he got passive.
Right.
This game, he just didn't have it in the first half. Was losing his dribble, was turning the ball over, obviously missing shots. And the second half, I tell you, I will give you this. I don't know that this helps. Like, obviously, they still lost. But LeBron, the dog came out.
Yes.
Like,
I think
he
Russ made him
guarded
mad.
Kawhi, and Kawhi guarded him. And Kawhi couldn't do anything with it.
Couldn't do a thing.
So that LeBron, all those people that want to, he don't have a killer instinct. That was a killer instinct. So LeBron was fantastic, but again, they still lost. And this loss is concerning. All right, for one, obviously, it heightens their chances of making the play-in. I think they'll survive it, but you won't get that rest. And who knows what can happen in the play-in. So there's that. Secondly, the way the Clippers handled, they own the Lakers. This was, you can say, I don't think, the Lakers did have some negatives because of the schedule, obviously. Sure. And the Clippers got the rest. But what about the previous 10 times they beat them? Like, they get up for the Lakers like they get up for no other team in the league. And if they happen to meet in the playoffs, I assume that would be the case too. They've beaten them 11 straight games. And this made me wonder with the way the Lakers look. I get it was a back-to-back. Look, I was covering the league when nobody even worried about back-to-backs. So I'm not going to sit here and, oh my gosh, they had to play on a back-to-back.
And overtime.
You're right. Man, wow. But this makes you look at the previous wins. They won 7 of their last 8 entering last night's game. And because they didn't look good at all against the Clippers, except for LeBron. And I started to look at those wins. Only one of them came against a team that's currently in the top 6 in its conference. And that was Phoenix without Durant and DeAndre Ayton. So I don't know if the Lakers are looking quite as good as we all have thought. And then the thing made me wonder about AD. Now, I'm not going to jump on him for having 17 and 11. I'm not going to jump on him because they double-teamed him. Yeah. They played smart ball. Everybody else had to try to score. But they do a good job on AD.
Yeah.
AD averages 22 points against them during this season. And I think one of the reasons that they do a good job on him is that Zubac is not a great center, but he's a tough and he's a strong and he's an interior by the basket center. And AD don't like that. That's why AD's never wanted to play center because he don't want to deal with guys like that. And so Zubac looked great last night. 17 and 13, dunking, scoring inside. So those things would give me pause if I'm a Lakers. I'm not writing them off, but I'm just saying my antennas were raised from last night.
We all like Ty Lue here. And if I was Ty Lue watching this show, I'd be like, don't I deserve some credit? I just continually beat this team.
Yeah.
I'm in LA, and all I do is win. And then you guys start the show with LeBron and how great LeBron looked.
Well, hold on, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But that's LeBron deserved. That was
he did. I totally agree. The back-to-back. He's 38. I totally buy it. I just feel like we are so Lakers-centric, and some of the media criticism, like that comes from online about television shows like ours. Like all you do is talk about the Lakers, and it's like, well, LeBron's a big star.
Well, wait a second.
But Ty Lue deserves credit.
Now, listen, I wanted Ty Lue to coach the Lakers, but there was a time where the Clippers were a lead story on all these shows, where the Clippers were the team of LA, where the Clippers were the favorites.
Smart people picked the Clippers.
Smart people. People that had a hell of a lot more than faith of 6 out of 10 in their beloved Clippers. And then the Clippers all over themselves repeatedly. And they lost that benefit of the doubt, and Kawhi's decision to opt out of NBA superstardom by load managing to an extent like we've never seen.
But can I push? Like he didn't last night.
Correct.
He played the entire second half.
Correct.
So that narrative should be dead. And then Ty Lue, at what point if you're Ty Lue, like, man, when are they going to start talking about me? How many times? 15 in a row?
Hold on a second.
20 in a row? I've won 11 in a row.
I gave him some props. I was responding to Nick.
No,
I gave him some props.
Wait, hold on. Let's stay here for a second. This is a frustrating thing. Because you know who wanted Ty Lue to coach the Lakers, right? LeBron James. And he didn't get his way and he got Frank Vogel. And then some people on a lot of shows, then said, why didn't Frank Vogel get respect? Why is Frank Vogel, now he's the fall guy? All these things. And now the answer to when the Clippers beat the Lakers is, why don't we give Ty Lue more respect? Some of us have been calling Ty Lue one of the best coaches in basketball since he got a raw deal in Cleveland. Now, if I may just very quickly respond to Brew's point. Brew, if your point is the Clippers might be able to match up well with the Lakers in a playoff series.
Not might, will.
I would agree, but the only place they'd be able to meet is the conference finals. So I would feel differently about last night.
Caliber of team. This is the first time in weeks they faced this caliber of team, and they got run off the floor.
And so, okay, all right. I think if you're a Lakers fan, your hope for the postseason is Anthony Davis be healthy and LeBron be able to get to a gear that he got to in the second half last night.
It was very impressive. Let's take a look at the teams trying to avoid the play-in. Clippers are at 5, Warriors are at 6. Then it's the Lakers. Then it's the frisky Pelicans, who tried their best to give away the game last night and ended up winning.
That was remarkable.
That was not.
Yeah, I mean, they
great.
were up 6 with 8 seconds left and it went to overtime. That was remarkable.
Here's LeBron, who's happy wherever the chips may fall.
I mean, listen, it is what it is. Wherever we end up, that's where we end up. There's been like 4 or 5 seasons in one for us. We don't have the luxury of, saying this is what we need to do, this is where we're going to be. We need to still continue to play good basketball. We got another game on Friday versus a very good team. Then we end the season on Sunday, versus Utah. So we'll see what happens. We'll see wherever we fall, and we'll be ready to go.
Simple outfit, but it worked.
Okay.
Confident in the Lakers no matter what seed they get.
Yeah, I mean, the only seed you don't want is the 5. Right? If Phoenix right now looms large over the entirety of the West. They haven't lost with Durant. Durant is playing unbelievable basketball. With Phoenix, however, and I hate to be kind of fatalistic about it, the odds of them getting to the conference finals whole are lower than the average team. By the way, same with the Lakers in that regard because of the history of those players and injuries. I would not want to play Phoenix in round 1. It's why I thought they should rest yesterday and just punt on the 5 seed entirely. I think the Lakers, speaking of back-to-backs, Phoenix plays tonight and then the Lakers tomorrow. My guess is they rest Kevin Durant tomorrow and the Lakers beat the Suns and the Lakers beat the Jazz and then they will be the 6th seed if Golden State loses on the road in Sacramento, which I would be shocked if they didn't. But 6 or 7, Brew, I think the Lakers are in better shape than 5. Because 6 or 7, you have Memphis or Sacramento in round 1. If you're the 7, and you're in the play-in, even if you lose that first play-in game, okay, then you get Denver. I would rather play Denver than Phoenix in round 1. So I think the Lakers, the ideal, obviously, is they go 2-0, Golden State lose Sacramento, you slide into the 6 against either Memphis or Sacramento. But either way, I think they're in fine shape in either of those spots.
Yeah, wherever they go, I mean, I'm not going to write them off. You got to give them a chance. If they have a healthy LeBron and AD in a wide-open West, you got to give them a chance, even if they're 5th. But you are right. You don't want to meet the Suns. Neither do the Clippers or the Warriors if they have their druthers. Now, Ty Lue said before last night's game, we just going to play. And wherever we end up, we end up. I do like that attitude, but if people are being honest, you would rather play someone else than the Suns. For the Lakers, Sacramento, and this goes for any of the teams, I think they'll beat those teams, Sacramento, Memphis, but those teams play so fast.
You would pick the Lakers over the Grizzlies. You would.
I'm not sure yet. Here's the thing about the Grizzlies. Probably, but I'll wait till that happens if it happens. The Grizzlies, though, what will concern me if I'm the Lakers is in Jaren Jackson Jr. They got a great defender who can, he's not going to stop AD, but can make it tough on him. You've got an explosive guy like a Ja Morant that's going to, and Desmond Bain, Dylan, they're a good team.
Sure. No,
they're immature,
really
they're young, but they would be a team, you just a nuisance that you got to deal with. So, look, I agree. If they get Denver, of the team, I'd probably pick facing Sacramento over Denver, but
you'd rather play Denver than Phoenix. Brew is saying the Lakers would rather play Denver than Phoenix
or Memphis.
Or the Memphis or the Warriors if that were possible, which it's not. It's a whole host of teams.
Russ revenge games started off hot, then cooled down a bit. Ended the game with 14, 3, and 4. Also a few points towards LeBron, pointing the finger. Here's Zubats after the game.
He's a great dude, great leader, always happy, always positive, always, helping everyone on the court, helped me a lot. He leads us on and off the court. He's a great dude, so we just wanted to, prove everyone wrong, prove all those rumors, all that stuff that was said about him wrong, and, it just makes it better that it came in the biggest game of the season.
Okay. Brew, did Russ get the last laugh here?
Look, I'm sure it felt good for Russ, and it should. He should be happy. It's great for him. But no. Come on. All of the stuff he went through, you're talking about a top 75 player of all time. You're talking about a first ballot Hall of Famer. You're talking about a guy who is from LA, who grew up rooting for the Lakers, and he caught absolute hell with the Lakers. From the fans, you can say it justified or not, he still was the scapegoat for everything. So you're not going to get the last laugh over that in a regular season game. Now, if they get to the playoffs, like you said, it'd be tough for them to match up. But if they somehow matched up in the conference finals and then Russ helped the Clippers beat them, that's the last laugh. But no, this was nice. I'm happy for Russ. But no, this doesn't do it.
I was really conflicted with this because part of me respected it and liked it, and part of me said, this is where you're your own worst enemy. So by the way, he won them the game, in my opinion. They started the game off 15-2 because of him and his energy, and the rest of the way, the Lakers played him, even in fact beat him the rest of the way. But it was that opening burst the Lakers had no answer to. And Russ was hitting jumpers and active on defense and doing all the things you would hope the best version of Russ did. Then, and we can show you the numbers, he went back to being the Russell Westbrook we've known the last few years, which is inefficient and not very effective. The rest of the game.
Well, it didn't play
as much. But
thank you.
He played enough to take 7 shots, turn the ball a few times, have a number of defensive lapses, but that's fine. What I found interesting was he's clearly furious with LeBron.
Oh, you think? I'm not being sarcastic. I didn't.
Yeah. I mean, he was pointing at LeBron. Yeah. He was talking to LeBron. When LeBron had the turnover, Russ caught it and said, nice pass. He's clearly angry that he feels like, it would appear to me, he feels like he got a raw deal from LeBron. To which I would say, what more did you want? You got more than a full season to show that you could be a part of winning basketball. You were unable to do it. Is it just a LeBron reason that the entire league knew you were available and no one would take you unless the Lakers attached a pick? That once you did get traded with a pick attached, you got instantly bought out by that team. Part of what has made Russell Westbrook one of the greatest players ever is the stubbornness, the will, the self-assuredness, and it's part of what I loved watching about him. But it also, to me, right now, is part of the reason that he doesn't understand that Russell Westbrook has been Russell Westbrook's own biggest enemy. It has not been people calling him Westbrook. It has not been teammates not supporting him enough. It has not been the media. It has been his inability to evolve to today's NBA and to improve as a shooter, flatly.
Yeah, look, he can be upset with LeBron if he wants. That's fine. But like I said, when he went to the Clippers, he's a better fit there. He wasn't a good fit. We all knew that from the get-go. He wasn't a fit with the Lakers. He's a better fit with the Clippers. And he's playing solid for him.
Coming up next, Kyrie and the Mavs. And could Luka be done in Dallas? Oh, no.
Somebody saw that coming.
They better hope not.
Welcome back to the show. Kyrie and the Mavs rallied to topple the Kings. Kyrie goes for 31, 19 in the fourth. Here's the standings. That shot was 50 feet in the air.
That was crazy.
Clippers, Warriors, Lakers, Pelicans, Wolves, Thunder. Then I finally get to the Mavs. But, like Kyrie says, there is a glimmer of hope. Long story short, Mavs need to win out and the Thunder need to lose one. Nick, they were your team winning the finals, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Rising like the Mavs' playoff chances from the ashes.
That's Phoenix.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's well done, Wiles.
Glad you go to Jeopardy.
Okay. So here's the deal. The Mavs, in order to make the actual playoffs, need to win 5 consecutive elimination games and have Oklahoma City lose once. They needed to win yesterday. Check. Mm-hmm. They need to win their next 2. I believe they will. They need Oklahoma City to lose once. That's going to be the tougher part. Then they would have to beat probably Minnesota and then either New Orleans, the Lakers, the Warriors, whomever is in the top half of that 7-8. The odds of all of those things happening, the Mavs not having a spit up on themselves game, quite low.
Right.
With that part said, if they were to win those 5 straight elimination games, Brew, I absolutely believe they can beat Denver. Because they would be playing their best basketball of the year. They would be feeling great. Denver right now, his coach is calling him out, calling him soft. I don't think that's a good matchup for the Nuggets because Kyrie or Luka would just try to get Jokic involved as many pick and rolls as possible. So that to me, if all of a sudden they had the 6th ever 8-1 upset and you beat a guy who's won a few MVPs, kind of salvage the season. You make round 2, see what it is. And I think they could give Denver trouble, but I don't think they're going to go, perfect 5 games in a row, which is what they need.
Yeah, look, they can make the play-in still. I don't mean can. We know they mathematically can. But they play Chicago and San Antonio.
So their part of going 2-0 should happen.
I mean, Chicago could give them some issues if they try to win.
Chicago's locked in, though,
right.
with the 10,
so they might relax.
Just before you move on, do you think there's any chance Popovich is like, you know what, guys, let's win this one?
I think Popovich was trying.
Nah.
Here's the thing. The Spurs, the Rockets, and the Pistons, because of the lottery flattening, they have been locked into the bottom 3, and whether you're 1, 2, or 3, your odds are the exact same.
But
so
you're
the last
just saying to knock out the match.
Right, no.
Could the Spurs kind of just...
I mean, look, I would. If I were in his position, I would go for it.
My point is those 3 teams have not been incentivized to lose for a couple weeks because they can't improve their lottery odds.
Last hurrah.
Right. The Spurs are losing not because they want to lose. They're losing because they don't have good players.
They're a bad team. But Oklahoma City plays Utah, which, as we saw, almost beat the Lakers. And Memphis. Now, Memphis will probably rest guys, but still, they're well coached. They play hard. Like, Oklahoma City, they should lose one of those games.
Right.
The question,
the Mavs can get
I don't
there.
know if the Mavs, have they won back-to-back games with Kyrie and Luka playing together? I don't
believe
think so. So that, like you said, 5 straight. I don't see them doing that, the 5 straight. But sure, they can get in the playoffs. And like you said, if they somehow were to meet Denver, look, Kyrie, I don't know if people watched the game. The game last night, the dude is phenomenal. He is simply phenomenal as an individual.
Bruce back.
I'm not back. He's not?
No,
he is incredible. I think Luka's, like we talk about the role players, sometimes you just watch. I think Luka, sometimes it's like, amazed at what this guy is doing.
So this year, Wilds, Luka's the NBA's leading scorer in the first quarter, and Kyrie's the leading scorer in the fourth quarter. That should be a combo that works, but thus far it hasn't.
Fortunately, 4 quarters.
Yeah.
Before the game, Mark Cuban met with the media and addressed Luka's long-term future, among other things. Take a listen.
The players don't talk like that. It's just, hey, I'm here for the next 17 years. He'd like to be here the whole time, but we got to earn that.
What would you say is the best way to earn that?
Win championships. It's amazing how, that cures all. I mean, before Giannis won, everybody saw, where's he going? Where's he going? He's not staying. He's not staying. Before they, every Jokic, well, they haven't won yet, da-da-da-da-da. Every single player, Dirk before, right? There's just no player, no great player, no superstar where they don't question, what are you going to do if you haven't won yet?
Yeah.
Do you think the clock's ticking on Luka and the Mavs?
I think they knew it was ticking midway through this year, which is why they panicked and traded for Kyrie. And the day that happened, while due to my commitment to take integrity, I would not come off the Mavs for the season, what did I say? That this is going to be the 3rd or 4th domino that leads to Luka.
Well, you said this will be the reason.
I said when Luka leaves, the acquisition of Kyrie will be in the first paragraph of the story as one of the major reasons because they've panicked. And what is unacceptable, so I think Luka's going to be a Miami Heat in 3 years. I'd be very surprised if he's a Mav. I'd be shocked if he's a Mav in 3 years.
Really?
If I had to pick a team. Yes, because, Brew, we've seen this exact blueprint before. Okay. So, and this is why it's unforgivable for the Mavs. So a very quick NBA history lesson. The New Orleans Pelicans draft a transcendent player in Anthony Davis. He is so good immediately, they try to microwave it. And they trade the number 6 pick and a future first for Drew Holiday. And they have something.
They had a lot of talent. They had Eric Gordon at his best.
Well, so hold up. So let me finish.
Some talent.
And then what happened to Eric Gordon? Eric Gordon, there's a little contract argument. He walks out the door for nothing. What does that remind you of? He goes to Houston. They just signs him outright. Then, as it's getting later and later, there's a mercurial star that's available if you'll trade some picks. And it's like, I'm not sure about the fit, but it's worth a try. And you lose more future flexibility to trade for DeMarcus Cousins, and it looks good for 6 weeks, and then it's over. The Mavs traded 2 firsts for Chris Stapps. Let Jalen walk for nothing. Traded another first for Kyrie Irving. And now the clock is ticking. They have not built the right type of team around Luka. Luka is not perfect. He is not Giannis, right? But Giannis, by the way, had his own bugaboos, which were different than Luka's. Instead of being bad at defense, he seemed to get worse in the postseason until he didn't, right? There's no perfect players until they are perfect. But at least the Bucks were building a team that made sense. The Mavs have not. And no, I don't think Luka's got. By this time next year, we're going to be talking about Luka demanding a trade.
Wow.
It's going to be one of the stories.
Now, you talk about history of the NBA. One thing we haven't seen is an international player do that. All right? Dirk Nowitzki in Dallas stayed after they traded his buddy let Steve Nash walk for nothing. They thought Steve Nash was on the decline. He goes on to win 2 MVPs and revolutionize the game to some degree. All right, and then Giannis, when everyone in the media essentially was saying, you got to get out of Milwaukee, dude. If you want to win, you better get out of there. Do what LeBron did. Do what KD did. He stayed. I mean, Duncan, who didn't grow up in America, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, like the international players. I'm not saying Luka can't, but so far, they have not been the guys to say, you know what, I got to get out of here. Now, I do agree with you. Mark Cuban has been a very good owner. Obviously, since he's on that team, Dallas has become kind of one of those, franchises we all pay attention to. However, he's made some bad mistakes. All right, after they won the championship, he tore it down immediately. All right, didn't even give him a chance to repeat. I mentioned the Steve Nash thing, just letting him walk for nothing. Jalen Brunson and some of the other moves you mentioned. What they have to do is build the team better.
So is Kyrie part of that build?
I see, and that's why I want to hear Nick. I want to hear, because you did say, Kyrie would be the reason he demands a trade. I don't know what their relationship is like. Kyrie's playing well. I'm not giving him, there's talk now that will they give him a 4-year max? There's no way I'm doing that. But
you can't lose Kyrie for nothing.
Player option
because you don't have enough flexibility. You've traded a future first way down the road in order to get Kyrie. You still owe the Knicks a first that could happen this year, depending on what happens the rest of the way. Could happen down the road. And I want to make it very clear what I'm saying. Luka has 3 years left on his deal. And then a player option. So 3 years left on his deal.
So you think next year he's going to demand a trade?
No. So that's what I wanted to clarify. I think 1 year from now, the discussion all summer is Luka going to ask for a trade like it was with Anthony Davis going into 2 years left on his deal. And then in that second to last year, what people are calling pre-agency, he did demand a trade and then he was traded. They are on the clock. They feel they're on the clock. That's why they traded. There's no other reason they would have traded for Kyrie. They were the 4 seed.
No, I mean, they knew they lost something with Jalen Brunson. And even though they were the 4 seed, I mean, it was very close.
Yes, but they
could have easily been the 6 seed. Yeah. And they said, let's bring in a player who's like Jalen, only better. And get what we got from Jalen and then some. And it backfired.
But a franchise, there's a reason there was not a major market for Kyrie this summer or at the deadline.
I'll get that.
They're right, because teams that weren't, the Lakers were a potential landing spot. They were desperate. The Mavs ended up being the landing spot because why would the Mavs be desperate? Because they're worried about Luka not wanting to be there. Like, that's the only reason they would have been desperate. They weren't like...
I mean, look, you got him locked up for several years. I don't think you have to make panic moves.
Okay, well, I think they did. Maybe they didn't have to.
What they need to do is figure out a way for Luka to play with superstars. Like right now, it's my turn, your turn.
That's right.
That's what it is between him and Kyrie.
Sure.
First half last night, Luka has I think 17 points. Kyrie had 6.
And then
through the three quarters, Luka has all of his 29 points in the first 3 quarters. Kyrie had 12.
Sure.
And then in the fourth quarter, Kyrie scores 19. Luka's scoreless on 2 shots. It's my turn, your turn. They got to figure out how to incorporate Luka into an offense that is not just based around him. Because LeBron, Harden, Jordan, Westbrook, Oscar, none of them could win championships just as a one-man show.
You crushed that.
Thank you.
Lamar,
That was a 6?
that was great.
That was a 6. Well done.
Hey, college football fans, Joel Klatt here. And over on my podcast, The Joel Klatt Show, we discuss the best teams, players, and storylines in college football. This month, leading up to the NFL draft, I'm giving you my mock drafts, top 50 prospects, and interviews with draft experts. So follow The Joel Klatt Show on the Fox Sports app, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and get in on the fun.
Ravens had a pre-draft luncheon with the media. Most popular menu item, awkwardness. Was supposed to be about the draft, but how do you talk about the draft without talking about your franchise QB, who you're negotiating with, who's also asked for a trade? Needless to say, things got weird. Take a listen.
With the Lamar stuff that's going on,
Hey guys,
are you all looking at quarterbacks?
Alex. This is about the draft. Just move off we're not going to answer one more questions today, okay?
I would say there's probably more than 4 guys that can be significant quarterbacks in this league, in this draft class.
Ooh, shout out Hendon Hooker.
That's not going to work. I would have canceled that.
Well, you can't say we're not talking about Lamar. And here's the thing.
Schlereth is here. Everybody.
Hi, Stank. Good to see you, buddy. Sorry, I just jumped in.
No, you jump.
Welcome.
Lamar has multiple acceptable outcomes here. The Ravens give him a long-term deal. Great. Another team signs him to an offer sheet. He plays for them. Great. Another team signs him to an offer sheet. The Ravens match. Fine. With playing for the Ravens on the franchise tag as the least acceptable, but it's still $32 million, as you've said, for a guy who makes $27 million. The Ravens only have one acceptable outcome here. Lamar Jackson and them reach a long-term extension. Everything else is different levels of disaster. He's a 26-year-old quarterback that, even with his flaws, at worst, with the most critical eye on him, is the 10th best quarterback in football. At the most conservative ranking of his. You can't lose that player. You can't. Not for the 4th overall pick, not for 2 future firsts. And I think the Ravens are not necessarily realizing, but they understand that while they technically have the leverage, they are the only party here that can be ruined by this. At least temporarily. Lamar is not going to be. Lamar has in his back pocket the ability, play for $32 million. He can do that at any point. The Ravens have nothing in their back pocket because Lamar might not play for them ever again.
And that's why they are studying the quarterbacks in this draft. And you'd be foolish not to study them in every draft. But in this draft in particular, you've got to study them because you think about where the Ravens sit right now. And I have said this on multiple shows and talked about this.
Save the best stuff for our show.
Okay, yes. I haven't said this. I mean, I've said things that are similar, but not exactly this. Let's say Justin Herbert was in the exact same position. He was a free agent. You could sign Justin Herbert. You'd have to give up 2 draft picks. There'd be 15 teams that would sign him to a $200 million deal right now, this instant. Why? Because he plays a more traditional style of quarterback, throwing it from the pocket, and you could see him being your guy for the next 10 to 12 to 15 years. Yeah. Lamar doesn't. He plays a style of offense in which, let's face it, even though it's been from the pocket, doesn't matter. He's been hurt for the last 2 years. He's missed 10 total games. So from a leverage standpoint, that's why this deal isn't done right now. Because they don't trust the long-term viability of that style of quarterback. That's what they're telling you. But you know what nobody else does either? Trust the long-term viability of that style of quarterback. They don't. Otherwise, you know what? He'd be signed to an offer sheet. And he's not. Now, the one thing you have to prepare for is what if? What if Washington goes, you know what? On second thought, Sam Howell and Jacoby Brissett is dumb. We'll give the 2 draft picks and we're going to take him and figure at least we got 3 or 4 years with a guy that has the potential of being an MVP because he's done it before. And now you're Baltimore, you're like, okay, now we legitimately have a chance to go up and get, a Young, or to go up and get a C.J. Stroud, or you mentioned Hooker.
Unless Washington does it after the draft. And then that's why if one of these teams does it after the draft, Brew, Baltimore is just out on the. We've seen them without Lamar.
Right,
for this year.
Well, they'll be bad this year, but look, and that's going to be the interesting.
But let me just say that if they came after him after the draft, the Baltimore Ravens have the right to match it.
Yeah,
right.
So they could match and say,
but to your
we
point,
don't want
they're
your
not
first
confident in him. They don't want, but they clearly don't want him.
Look, I think they put him on the non-exclusive tag because, one, he wanted to be traded.
Right.
He had asked him to be traded, but also to set the market, to show him we're not the only team that's not giving you $230 million guaranteed. Sure. And so that's the thing. It'll be interesting to see, do teams go after him after the draft? That's really, to me, because some people say, like you've said, they want to wait to give those draft picks for the future. What if they don't?
Right.
That's the thing.
By the way, real quick, how stupid is it to have a draft, like a draft press conference? Who are you going to take at 22? The best player available. Well, who is that? Well, we're not sure because we don't know who's going to be available. Do you want a defensive player? Well, if he's the best player available, we'd love to have a defensive player. Like, what questions are you going to ask?
I think it was a luncheon. I think it was well
It doesn't matter if it's a luncheon.
If there was no food, I don't think anyone would have done it.
Okay.
It was a luncheon?
Yeah, it was an official luncheon.
Wild said that in the beginning. He said awkwardness.
Never been to a bad
But why would
luncheon.
you a luncheon answer draft questions?
Ham sandwich.
No draft question.
Giannis-less Bucks squad beat the Bulls to lock up the number
How
one
valuable
seed.
can he be then?
Milwaukee can now rest if they want with the final
Some
two games.
think that way. You're right.
Let's look at the odds, title odds, that is. Coming at number one, it's the Bucks, who I had 6 months ago. Celtics, Suns, and then a bunch of other teams.
Sixers. Say the Sixers. Why would you leave them out?
8 plus 850.
Because
They're
they're
fourth.
not winning
They're the fourth best.
championship.
Oh, they're better than the Warriors. Looks like they're better than the Warriors, Chief. Go ahead.
Okay, so the question is, and we'll start with Nick.
Yeah.
Which player, out of all the players that have a legit chance at winning a title, would benefit the most from another ring?
So this is amongst guys who already have rings.
That's what I just said.
I'm just making. I just making it clear. You said it in an odd, convoluted way. Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's the answer. He turns 35 before next season. Kevin Durant, in the last 5 years, has played 12 minutes past round 2 of the playoffs. Conference finals and finals in the last 5 years, including this one, which obviously hasn't happened yet, we haven't seen it. And the reason I say that is, Brew, any postseason that he's healthy from this point forward could be the last.
Absolutely.
When he is arguably still the best player in basketball, one of the best players, whatever you want to say, clearly a top 4 guy. And if he wins a title, Brew, right now I've got him right ahead of Giannis for all-time and for second-best forward of the generation.
Sure.
And right behind Moses and Dr. J all-time. He leapfrogs them, and he makes the he versus Steph conversation, historically, a real conversation again, which right now it is not. Because it's like, well, Steph has more rings than MVPs, but when they were on the same team together, people said Durant, whatever it is. So for him, and nobody can say he's an easy rings, the Suns team was not that good without him, so I say Durant.
Well, you know what was interesting in looking at this? In the East, there's almost no star that has a ring.
Yeah.
Like after Giannis, it was like, you got to get all the way down to Toronto, and those guys weren't stars.
Right.
So that was interesting. But, look, it's hard to argue with Durant. Everything you said was true. It removes the but. Everybody knows how great Kevin Durant is. Everybody has him essentially in their top 20, if not much higher. But there's always but those easy rings. That's gone. So I get you on Durant. That's fine. But I'm going to say Giannis.
Oh, wow.
And here's why, because the league would belong to Giannis. Now, we sit up here on this show every week and say he's the best player in the league. And a lot of people say that. Maybe most people say that.
But it's not unanimous.
But he doesn't seem to get that respect. Why? If he got that respect as the best player in the league and he owns the league, we all know Giannis is great, then why in the world is he a distant third in the MVP race? He's not for you and me, and I don't even think for Nick
I
either.
think he's second.
But he is for most people. Like, he didn't win it for the last 2 years.
And he is not universally accepted as the best player.
Okay, but I think
is.
most people probably put him. But you're right, he's not universal.
But he would if he got a ring.
If he gets another ring, and it's 2 rings in Milwaukee, a small market.
Yep.
He 2 rings without a second superstar.
Oh, that one's
no super
important.
team was necessary. Nobody thought he could do it. He will have done that. And if he wakes up one day and says, you know what, I want to go to L.A. I'm just saying.
I get it.
Just a lifestyle move. Maybe after LeBron's gone. Yeah. I want to go play for the Lakers. Or I want to go to a bigger city. I want to, he's free to do that. He's kind of free after 1, but after 2
Certainly
rings,
free.
You're absolutely free. So I'm going to go with Giannis.
Can I give you the most confusing one? I kind of switched don't cheat.
I'm not cheating.
You're cheating. You're trying to get a jump on my answer.
No.
Cheating. The most confusing one, I think, would be Kawhi. If Kawhi won another championship, and I think if he won, he would win another Finals MVP. So here's the list.
Not if Russ has
3
MVP.
He had
Finals
3.
MVPs. So the guy, Jordan and LeBron have more than 3. Duncan, Shaq, and Magic have 3. So it's going to be Duncan, Shaq, Magic, Kawhi.
Wait, championships?
No,
Finals
MVPs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, what would you do with his legacy if you're telling your grandkids, man, that Kawhi Leonard, he must have defined the generation. 3 Finals MVPs, 3 different teams, showed up in Toronto, won a
2
championship.
places that never won championships.
Showed up in L.A. It was Ballmer's dream, and it actually happened. But what do you do with his legacy at that point? One of the greatest players ever?
Yeah,
I guess.
To me, it would be like Steve Young in the NFL, which is, and I understand that it's not apples to apples, but at his best, you can be like, man, that guy is one of the best I've ever seen, but for different reasons doesn't have the counting stats, the longevity, any of those things. That was kind of just off the top of my head. If I had more time to cheat off your paper, maybe I could have found a better example.
Sure.
But that's a big one. That's what, remember, he'd be the king of LA, like A6 promise.
It's New Balance, which, by the way, look at New Balance's stats. They're up big time year over year. Embiid,
He's been injured too much.
Heat tonight. He's got 3 Finals MVPs.
I know, but it's going to hurt him.
Well,
he hadn't even played 7.
Looks like Embiid has the MVP locked up, maybe, waiting on Brew's official vote. Now in the hunt for his first ring, so we're going to switch the question. We'll start with Brew this time. Who would benefit the most from their first ring?
This is interesting. I'm going to go with Jokic, Nikola Jokic out of Denver.
Oh, Nick's fave.
I thought we were only doing realistic ones.
Okay.
You said I can't.
So you're not saying Luka, okay?
No,
so
you said I
you're
can't.
Lars
We're only doing
Slovenian
realistic.
son.
Yeah.
All right, I'm Jokic because Nick, and rightly so. You have bashed Jokic on this show because he doesn't have much postseason success. Actually, had more than Embiid, but he hasn't had much postseason success for a 2-time MVP. If he wins it,
there's no more yeah buts. That's right.
I talked about Giannis owning the league. There would be. You could argue this guy owns the league.
What do you mean own?
He's not exciting to watch, or at
The
least
Ringer
that
says he's the best player in the league already.
And then you add a ring
MVP
to
voters
it.
say
it.
A
Wins a
title
ring,
to it.
yeah.
The numbers are crazy.
Yeah.
Both, not only he almost averaging a triple-double this year. Okay. The PER, he's second all-time in PER to only Michael Jordan.
6th all-time in defensive
Ahead of
box
LeBron.
plus minus. He's
now that's crazy.
Amazing defender.
But you know what? We know that's lunacy. But you wouldn't even be able to say anything about that.
No, if he wins
a ring, no second superstar, a team that's never won a championship in its franchise history.
It'd be great. But we were doing realistic ones. I cheated here. I'm doing a double dip.
Okay.
They're a duo, Embiid and Harden. So here's the deal. It's the same premise that you had before. If this guy wins it, it will be Finals MVP for Embiid. Last 40 years, centers to have a league MVP and a Finals MVP. Kareem, Moses, Hakeem, Shaq. That's the list.
Pretty good.
Embiid would join it.
In the same year?
No. In their careers, in the last 40 years. He would be unquestionably the best center post Shaquille O'Neal. Unquestionably the best center post Shaquille O'Neal. That's what he's going to win league MVP this year and that. And then Harden's part of it. Harden has 3 scoring titles, 2 assist titles, is a 6-time first-team All-NBA, was first or second in MVP voting 4 times. But nobody has him in their top 30 all time because of postseason stuff. Even as the second banana, winning a title is top 25 all-time player.
He leads the league in assists.
Yeah.
I agree. Look, it wouldn't do as much because he's the number one guy. But he's a strong too. He's still a star.
You putting
20 and
Donovan
10.
in Club Superstar if he wins?
Donovan, if they win
If
the
they
title,
win, yeah.
he might already be in. Oh, by the way,
I know.
Club Superstars update coming.
When's it coming?
Is it coming soon?
It's coming.
I
You got
can
new
tell
art?
you something,
In the next
honestly, I
30
put it on the
days.
whiteboard
Oh,
up
the
there.
artwork has been
Donovan's
commissioned.
there.
Nobody was paying
Donovan's in
attention
there.
to it, so I decided to mention it on air.
Club Superstar.
I said, Nick, please do Club Superstar
I've been doing
date.
it. You're not my boss.
It's Thursday, which means it's time for the most motivational segment in all of sports, the Bud List. It's also a time, Schlereth, where we read some viewer mail.
Really?
Yeah, because even though it's the year 2023 and everyone's gone digital crazy, we get a lot of physical mail.
Yeah.
But as you know, we can only read the mail when we hit the viewer mail music.
Yeah. There it is.
That's my cue. This is a special one, I feel like.
Oh, okay.
Me too.
Dear Wilds, love the show. Thank you. The ratings have been great. Anyway, I can support the show in the Bud List as I walk around town. Cheers, Dawn. Dawn's wife.
Yes.
Well, thank you for writing, Dawn, and I hope Ryan and Brian are doing great. School's out. So we did make something up if you want to support the Bud List as you walk around town. It's our merchandise line, the Bud List t-shirt.
Oh!
It's the Bud List Home Edition t-shirt.
Yes.
So if you want to support the Bud List, and specifically the Bud List Home Edition.
So are they supporting the Bud List or are they supporting the Bud List board game?
They love the game.
Oh,
everything. It's all
okay.
connected together.
That's good.
Whenever I wear that shirt, I get comments all the time.
About the game or the Bud List itself?
Well, both, actually. But people like the shirt. And there's a hoodie coming, too.
Oh, good.
A hoodie coming,
Soft.
too.
Go to Broussard
All right,
Substack.
let's get to it. This week's Bud List, all NBA. That's my hit. Starting with Andrew Wiggins. First of all, Andrew, I'm glad that seemingly everything has gotten better, with your family and you're able to come back and join your team. We will keep your father, Mitchell Wiggins, former NBA player, in our prayers. But here's the deal, Andrew. Rightly or wrongly, people are looking at you to kind of turn this thing around in Golden State. It only needs to be turned around on the road, but they're looking at you to help do it. You are one of the best defenders in the league. You also have become a really good three-point shooter, 40%. You were great in the finals, a big part of why they won. And we need you to come out and play great for the Warriors. Here's the thing. You don't really like the spotlight. Right? When you were in Minnesota as the number one pick, you didn't want that smoke. All right? You didn't want the burden of carrying the team. So now I want to motivate you. Remember, you're not carrying the team. It's still Steph's team and Klay's team and Draymond's team. You just have to come and play like a star, even though people might not recognize you as a star. And I think you'll like that. So, Andrew, I believe in you. I fought for you for years on this show when some people said you were terrible.
Terrible
and
was
then
not
they had
said.
to apologize for it. All right, at number 2, Chris Paul, CP3. Chris, this is it. This is your chance. That elusive championship ring that you haven't been able to get, it is there for your taking. You got Kevin Durant. You've got Devin Booker. You got a 7-footer in DeAndre Ayton who give you 17 and 10 and you don't have to run many plays for him. People are looking, some people on this panel, people know who I'm talking about when I say some people on this panel. They think you might be the weak link. Some people are wondering if you're the weak link, or some people around the league. So you got to go out and do your thing, Chris. All right, this is it. You still can play. You'll be 38 next month, okay? You might not get a chance next year. Chris, I believe in Steph more. I believe in Steph more, but I do believe in you too. All right, at number 1, Nick, I had to do it. Luka Doncic.
Well, I assume so. All you showed was Andrew Wiggins dunking on him 3 years ago.
Luka. All right, Luka, it's been a tough year. You probably only got 2 games left this season. Maybe you'll last a little longer, but probably 2. And when you only have 2 games left, guess what? You are going to be criticized. You just will be. Okay? Some people will say, oh, Luka, look, he doesn't play defense. He doesn't try, even give effort on defense.
That's true.
Some people will say, look at his body language. He's not a leader. Yeah, he can score. He can pass. He's not a leader. All right. Some people will even stop referring to you affectionately as their large Slovenian
Large
son.
adult Slovenian son.
No names,
This doesn't
but some
sound
people.
motivational.
Some people. But Luka, this is the motivational part. What you've got to do is the same thing Michael Jordan did when he was criticized, LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo. What did they do? They didn't sulk. They got in the lab. And that's what I want you to do this offseason, Luka. Get in the lab. You got to become a better free throw shooter. All right? You got to give more effort defensively. You might have to change your eating habits. You certainly have to get in better shape.
What about smoking habits?
And I think you need to figure out how you can play as a part of the system rather than being the system. You don't have to be so ball dominant. You're a great player, ball dominant or not. Luka, I was the first player to call you Luka Legend, first person to call you Luka Legend after Larry Bird. You know I believe in you, man. I'm not disowning you.
No.
Wow.
Jeez.
Wow. When he said that he was going to do what Michael Jordan, I thought he was going to go play baseball.
Yeah, that's what I
For a
thought.
while.
What's
That's
the
what I
sport?
thought.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to go play.
Yeah.
All right. So here is my motivation. My motivation goes to the NFC.
Okay.
To a quarterback and a coach in the NFC that, let's face it, the NFC, when we're talking quarterbacks, it's ripe for the taking. You could be the number one quarterback in the NFC. Right. This goes out to Dak Prescott. You've got to clean up your game. You led the league in interceptions last year with 15, and you did it in 12 games, for crying out loud. And Mike McCarthy, you made the decision to change up this offense, to fire your offensive coordinator, and to take over the play calling duties. So you've got to clean these things up that we see on tape. Go ahead, roll that tape for me, because Dak Prescott, you've got to be better. Here you see a 3-wide set. Watch these safeties come out. The inside receiver, that's CeeDee Lamb. That's your number one read. Those safeties going out like that says cover 2, meaning the outside corner is going to roll up, and that's where you should go with the football. Inside guy, the first receiver there, you see number 1. It's actually number 3, but that's number 1 on the inside. That's covered. Get to the third option. Get outside and throw that football to a wide open receiver. Instead, you throw it into that triangle. That is, what's the triangle in the ocean that's really bad?
Bermuda.
The Bermuda Triangle. You threw it right in there, and you get one of your 15 picks. You've got to be better than that. That's an easy read for any quarterback at this level. You've got to be better. Here it is. Step up. Get it to the outside. It's either incomplete or it's a big-time play down the sideline. Instead, you throw it into a team meeting. That can't be. For Mike McCarthy, you've got to clean those things up. That's what you've got to do. And by the way, Mike McCarthy is not, he will not, I promise you, run this play. Like, this play is done. Like, this play is not going to Zeke Elliott, 1, because Zeke Elliott no longer plays for the Cowboys. 2, because that's the dumbest play in the history of football right there. That play, that won't happen again, because Mike McCarthy is now calling the plays.
Well done. I like that.
Yeah.
Nothing to add. I'm in agreement with it.
Do I believe in?
You believe in Dak?
That's what you're supposed to say.
Yeah, I do believe in.
I don't. It doesn't sound
to the
like
camera. Say I believe in you.
Okay. That's what I got to do. Hey, Dak. Let that be motivation, because I believe in you.
There it is.
All right, I am putting someone on the Bud list that I don't believe in.
Oh, well, that's kind of. I'll move on then.
I am wondering if anyone still believes in him.
Oh, wow. He's got to be put somebody on Denver.
It is Mac Jones.
Oh, come on. Good all show.
He's lost the building. There were reports last year that the owner preferred Bailey Zappi. Devin McCourty did a media tour talking about how some players wanted Mac and some players wanted Bailey.
Devin McCourty loves him.
Okay.
He was just reporting.
He was reporting that some people forget, but on this very show, he somewhat lost the support of Kevin Wildes. And now Wildes has tried to say, it's all about Lamar Jackson. But I am old enough to remember this video and Kevin Wildes cackling maniacally about Mac Jones' off-season workout habits. And maybe most devastatingly, he's lost Bill Belichick, who, there were reports, now there have been some conflicting reports, that Bill Belichick has wanted to shop Mac Jones, and we can show it to you, eventually do this to Mac Jones. That is Bill Belichick stiff-arming Mac Jones out of the building.
Comedy hour.
So here's the deal, Wilds.
Am I in charge?
If he's
humor,
bad this year,
analysis guy.
he's done. If he's bad this year, his time as a starter in this league, he goes on what you guys call the Mitch Trubisky, Marcus Mariota track, which is also guys who, by the way, once upon a time got to a playoff game with a great defense. The team that they were just the quarterback of, they had to make the playoffs, and then they were looking for jobs.
Say it.
So Mac Jones.
I believe in you. Say it.
Mac Jones, I believe you're going to be a backup. Prove me wrong.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Remember when he did the Wilds, Weird and Wonderful? It was very dark. That was just dark. It was no motivation. It was mean.
Total that video's out of context too, because he's got an audition for Spider-Man, the next Spider-Man. So that's why he's climbing.
It was true. It was just mean.
I'm supposed to be the affable one. You guys bring the analysis, okay? Okay. It gets all lost when we.
What you got?
Cam Newton, another former Patriots QB.
Another former.
Cam.
Oh,
I was talking about Steve Grogan in the break. Cam Newton released a YouTube video about being a backup quarterback to only a handful of teams and quarterbacks. Take a listen.
I wanted to set the record straight by saying, this is how I feel. There ain't 32 guys that's better than me. But I also know that I could also be a backup, and I'm willing to be a backup. Players that I will back up. Number one, I'll back up Deshaun Watson.
Okay, so I'll run through the list. Deshaun Watson, Justin Fields, Tua, Malik Willis, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Sam Howell. You might think that's an odd list. Well, some of these guys he has relationships with because they came up through his camp. So the issue I have with Cam's kind of press conference I released is like, why do this, bro? Just if you really want to be a backup, just call the GMs of the teams, have your agent get on the horn and give it a shout. And just to think, well, that's kind of odd. Bobby Portis was on JJ's podcast and it was great. And it's like, how'd you end up on the Bucs? He's like, I wanted to be on the Bucs. I called up. It was like, I think I could help you guys. Do the same thing. I don't need a YouTube video, although I did find it enjoyable and I thought that was a nice set. But overall, just make some calls. You don't need to tell me.
No, what this does is go against what you want from your backup, right? It brings attention to the backup. It makes your backup, who already is a celebrity, even stay in that celebrity air. So, yeah, you're right.
That concludes an odd Bud list, I'll be honest with you. Thanks for staying with us. I believe in you.
Get the T-shirt.
Get the T-shirt.
I want one of them T-shirts.
Welcome back to the best 5 minutes in sports. It's our 4:15 segment. The Russ revenge game started off hot, cooled down a little bit, ended the game with 14, 3, and 4, hit some big shots, got the Clippers out to an early lead, also caught a LeBron turnover, then pointed at LeBron. I was like, hey man, we used to be teammates. What's going on here? Nick, did Russ get the last laugh here?
Well, for the game, certainly, and he was clearly intent on it. And, Brew, this to me was an odd viewing experience in this regard. And people are like, Nick, you're rooting for the Lakers. I wasn't really. Because the Lakers, I think they're going to beat the Suns. I think the Suns are going to rest. I think they're going to beat the Jazz. And had they won all three, they'd have been the 5 seed. I don't want Lakers to be the 5 seed. It's not because I don't think they can beat Phoenix. It's I'd rather not have played Phoenix in round 1. So it wasn't about the fact that the Lakers were losing early that made it odd. It was because I didn't know how to process Russ's play. Because Russ at the beginning of the game, and it wasn't just the hitting shots. He was locked in defensively. He was doing all the little things. And he was a huge positive, plus he hit shots, which is just a bonus. And then as the game went on, he went back to the guy I watched him as for a season and a half with the Lakers, which is lackadaisical defensively, kind of killing your spacing on offense, and just doing his own thing independent of the rest of the team. And I wondered, does he not play, forget the shot making, the way he played at the beginning of the game, throughout an entire game at this point of his career, just because he's too old to keep up that level of energy and intensity throughout? And I think, that's probably it. But defensively, it's paying attention. And he was, I thought, trying to send a message to the Lakers yesterday, which is, you guys screwed up. You guys were shopping me. He was clearly mad, I would imagine, at LeBron for that interview. And LeBron was like, yeah, I was sad we didn't get Kyrie. When everyone knew that would mean Russ was gone. But the level of almost like anger he seemed to be playing with struck me as he felt he was done wrong by the Lakers. And I don't feel that way at all. I feel like LeBron went to the Lakers, asked them to go get Russ. People disagree. He's like, nope, let's do it. And then he got a season and a half to try to show it could work, and it couldn't work. And the whole league saw it, and nobody wanted him unless the Lakers attached a pick. And doesn't feel to me like Russ is like understands that's not because people don't like you. It's because of how you played. And then yesterday for him to kind of like be trying to stick it to LeBron and stick it to the Lakers. Like, part of it is that what makes him great, but also part of it shows a lack of self-awareness, which is what has hurt him so much.
Yeah, but you gotta understand where he's coming from. I agree. Again, from the get-go, I knew it wouldn't work. When the rumors came out about the Lakers might go get him, I laughed at it because I thought this is ridiculous. And they went ahead and did it. So we knew it wouldn't fit. But he caught an outsized amount of flack. All right? Nobody blamed LeBron, nobody blamed Anthony Davis, nobody blamed the role players. Everything was on Russ, and this year he played better. They still were right to make the trades and all that because they're obviously a better team. But he played better this year off the bench. He accepted coming off the bench, and he still got criticized the way we've rarely seen a top 75 player, a first ballot Hall of Famer, a legend get criticized. It was like he was the sole reason. And I think one of the reasons he's probably upset with LeBron is, like many people, he assumes any move the Lakers make, it might not even be true, but any move the Lakers make, LeBron was behind it. So he's probably assuming the same thing. So I just think he wasn't a good fit. He's a better fit with the Clippers, but I think he caught too much heat in LA. He wasn't the only reason they weren't a good team.
Well, do you feel like some of the criticism of Russ was because the mistakes were so outlandish? Like, you can quietly make mistakes. Like yesterday, LeBron played great, but he had more energy on offense than he did on defense. He wouldn't crash on the boards. It's fine.
LeBron played great for a half and was awful.
And defensively, he
but Russ will bounce it off the side of the backboard.
Yeah,
Russ will bounce.
And there was
wild shots.
Microscope. They were more than microscope.
But
than
do you feel like that?
Okay,
because the mistakes were so outlandish, it led to an
I think
outsized
it's because.
criticism.
So here's the thing. I disagree with Brew that we saw Carmelo Anthony have to sit out of the league. Right. Now, he wasn't as much in the media firestorm, but Russ, by the way, wasn't so much in the media firestorm when he was in Washington. It was because he was with the Lakers, everything about the Lakers, and I think Anthony Davis has gotten, another top 75 player, a hefty amount of criticism while playing really well. Yeah, which some would argue is more unfair. Criticize a guy for getting injured as opposed to a guy for playing poorly. What?
He gets criticized for being injured. He gets criticized for being demonstratively injured.
No, but he also he's
like laying on the ground for.
I understand
people talked about Westbrook like he was a horrible player.
No, I don't think he is in a vacuum a horrible player. I don't think he has the ability to be a part of a winning team.
Winning?
Yes.
He's been a part of the championship? He's been a part of winning teams throughout his career.
No, I'm talking about at this point in his career. At this point in his career,
the Clippers are
9-10 with him. They are not. They are 9-10 with him.
First of all, that's a small sample size. Paul George is injured, and they're winning now. They just crushed the Lakers.
Okay, I understand. And there was a night when he was their best guy, and he had 30 points and was amazing. The point I'm making is he is going to end 5 straight years on 5 different teams. To not have, and this is what I think is his biggest weakness, a level of self-awareness to say, yeah, maybe some of this, most of this, the majority of this is me. LeBron wasn't running OKC, Houston, Washington. And he's not going to be running the Clippers when they move on from him either. Like that, to me, it is a stumbling block.
He can't change his game. He doesn't have the skills.
Well, that's
the thing.
But that's the problem.
He caught too much flack from the Lakers. He wasn't a good fit, but he caught too much heat. He was viewed as the sole reason. I get why he's upset.
Medals time. Game over in Dallas. Luka launches a deep shot, and it ends up going in. It doesn't count. It was just practice. Hot take here, but Luka talked about being exhausted from playing 4 summers of basketball. Well, you know what? When the game's over, head to the locker room.
Bronze medal, my son's former Summer League teammate. One of the best young men I ever encountered in Houston. So happy for him. Quentin Grimes. 36-3.
Nice.
Might get some All-NBA second team consideration. I'm really trying to just start. Silver medal. Throw him on the ballot, Brew. It's fine. Kyrie. 19 in the fourth. The highest parabola in the NBA season, that corner three. 31-8. What is a geometric shape in an upside down?
You sound like you're back on TV.
Gold medal.
I like it.
IQ. Emmanuel Quickly. 39-9.
Yeah.
Knicks' top three leading scorers were out. Didn't matter. Still dropped damn near 140 on the Pacers. 3 different guys with 30 points. Shout out to the Knicks, probably the pinnacle of their season because they're going to lose to the Cavs in 6.
What do the Pelicans need to do to get on there?
6.
What?
That's the Pelicans played great.
Who do you want on there?
Hey, we had 340.
Herb Jones could have gotten on there, but you know what Herb Jones didn't do?
3 guys,
You know what Herb Jones didn't do?
Go to school with your son?
Exactly. There's the medal stand last night.
I always knew there was bias to the medal stand.
Denver at Phoenix tonight. Joker looks to be out. Line's over 10. This will be the first game after Mike Malone called his own team soft after losing to the Rockets. KD, meanwhile, undefeated in a Suns uniform.
Yeah.
Like LeVar Ball says.
Never lost.
Never lost. Nick, what are you expecting tonight?
I think the Suns are going to blow them out, and then rest their starters, and the Lakers will get a nice, easy Friday win. Brew, I want to play a game with you.
Okay.
I want to do a Western Conference draft to see how long the Suns stay on the board. You understand?
The Suns stay on the board?
I'm sorry, how long the Nuggets stay on the board.
Oh.
So, like, you have the first pick to win the West. You pick who?
Golden State.
Okay. I have the second pick. I'll pick the Lakers. Third
Suns.
pick. You pick the Suns. Fourth pick. I've got the Grizzlies. Fifth pick. Available to you are the Kings, the Nuggets, the Clippers.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's
Clippers.
Oh, you go Clippers.
Over Denver?
Number 6. I go light the damn beam. I go Kings.
See, that's gone too far.
Hold on. What about?
You've gone too far. 6 is Nuggets.
No, it was my
6
pick.
is the
It was my pick. I picked
All
the
right,
Kings.
I got the Nuggets.
Really? Not the Pelicans? Zion could be back by then.
The Nuggets.
Frisky Pelicans.
So
Zion?
Okay.
The
so-
Nuggets.
exactly.
The Nuggets.
Okay.
The Nuggets. You see, this is what Jokic would gain.
You picked
would
3
no longer
teams
be able to
before
rip
him.
him like this.
You
just
picked the
trolling.
Clippers.
You're trolling. Nicola, I believe in you.